That's the data I have. All right. Let me turn the volume back up here. Okay. All right. We're live. What do we got? What are we talking about?
Roleplay versus roleplay. So, whether you want your players to be actors and have their acting chops, kind of benefit their gameplay, or you leave it to the dice rolls, or a combination of both.
Okay. I don't have any notes for us to go off of. We're just winging it here. But I'm gonna make a note. I'm gonna make a notes document because I am curious what the general consensus here is. I think this is a bigger topic than it seems on the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause
And it's very GM dependent too.
Well, and it also touches on a lot of emotional topics. For example, fudging roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, so we got role play versus role play. All right, first of all, let's define like we do. We're just two scientists without degrees, right? So basically, American scientists or old-fashioned scientists. That's it. We're old-fashioned scientists. We didn't go to school for this. We're just here to do science. So the first thing we need to figure out, what is it to role play? Now we've talked about role play before, right? On this, I mean,
Yeah.
I lose track, man. I don't know.
Yeah, we have.
We've been friends for 30 years. We've been friends for 5 years. I don't know how long. I mean, I just lose track, right? But role play. Role play is not, here we go, get some bulleted list going. Is not just using a different voice. It is making decisions based on how the character you have created and are playing would react to a situation, comma, not how you, the player, might act. A separation of you, the player, from your own character. Right? I feel like that's what role playing is, right? Role playing is being able to eat your friend's liquefied remains out of a dirty barrel. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously IRL, you wouldn't do that, right? I hope. I mean,
I hope.
If I ever find out that Darby's into that, I don't think he's going to be invited to DaviCon. Let me tell you that. But I'm just saying, just saying. But yeah, it's the idea that how you feel, right, is not necessarily how your character feels. Now, easy mode, obviously, make a character who is either A, just like you, or B, acts how you wish you could act. And I think that's where we got a lot of those chaos gremlins from. You know what I'm saying? That's where we're getting a lot of those chaos gremlins. Yeah. So that's where you got a lot of people that have fucking sass and guff with every NPC in the world. Every NPC in the world. I got players. Doesn't matter how nice the NPC is. Doesn't matter if it's the king of the universe. Doesn't matter if it's God. They got beef. They got a problem with these people. Yeah. And you know that those people in real life, they're just like, yes sir, yes ma'am, right away sir, right away ma'am. So when they get behind the D&D, on the D&D table, they got the dice in front of them. They're like, yeah, screw you. Nobody tells me what to do. ... at the
own person.
Yeah, at the D&D table. Yeah. So roleplay is being someone different and letting that guide you. So I'm going to put allowing the story to be guided by the wants and the needs,
the motivations.
Oh, yeah, and the motivations of your character. I'll put a parentheses S there. Okay, so that's established. We've established what role play is. So, what is role play?
Looking at the mechanical nature of your character
Mm-hmm.
in this game, and having that be like the thing is here is that they're in both cases they're the same thing.
Uh-huh.
It's just that one is like you can't. This is really hard because like I would say you the role play part
Mm-hmm.
is also the role play part.
Well,
Because you're kind of you're like making decisions with dice rolls. Those decisions you're probably making are decisions that your character would probably make because of their dice rolls. Like if I'm trained in athletics, I'm gonna pick the athletics thing to do. You know.
I still feel like that's still role play though, with the OLE play, right? Because you're making decisions based on your character's abilities, right? Which you had a hand in deciding, and that character, in a way, had a hand in deciding by choosing those skills and stuff, right? What I believe is role play is leaning into the direction given to you by the dice. So you wrote a character, and maybe you wrote a backstory, and you meticulously picked out all of your skills, and you are Pharaoh, last of the elemental scribes of High Mountain, and you must go forth and slay several dragons to restore the honor of your father's spirit, put it to rest, and reunite all 7 kingdoms once again. Right? Fuck yeah, right? So you're also a level 1 fighter. You're also a level 1 fighter, right? So I have had people roll up to the table with the dopest Lord of the Rings anime characters ever, and they just have terrible rolls. Just the worst rolls, right? And it hurts, right? It hurts your heart, right? To be like, but I made this great character. I did everything I could. I made this great character, and they just get punished all the time by the dice. All the time, they're making a joke out of me. They're making a joke out of my character. They're making a joke out of all my hard work of designing this and trying to make a serious character with a serious story and all that kind of stuff. It sucks, right? It sucks.
Yeah.
What I view role play as, this is where the actual improv comes from, right? So like, and if the DM isn't fudging the dice, this is where the actual improv is for everyone, right? Because this is outside of everyone's control. This is outside of everyone's control. So with the role play versus role play, right. Like I made a character who has an 8 dexterity. Obviously, I don't need the dice to tell me don't try and use a bow, right? I know that, right? Don't try to balance across this ledge, right? I know that I can't do these things without rolling any dice. So I'm going to quote unquote role play my character to be like, ooh, I never climb, high places. I never try to sneak across ledges, right? That's just not for me, right? Like, oh, I'm nearsighted. I can't make that shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are role playing cues, right? Based on the way you built your character. The ROLL is, that's cute. You want to do this thing. I don't think you're gonna do it. Because maybe you're gonna do it, and then you think there's no way I could do this thing, and then the dice are like, but you did. Do you know what I'm saying? And that, to me, that's the role play, right? Is let's see, unexpected changes brought about by chance.
Right? I guess in those cases, like an idea is like, okay. I guess the idea here is what I'm saying is that now that I think about it, they're not necessarily like, they're two different things that happen together.
Oh, because, absolutely! Like, they're always happening together. They're always happening together.
They're not. It's not one or the other. They're happening at the same. They're two they're both on the same side of the same slice of bread. You know what I mean? Like,
and
then you fold them and you have a nice sandwich.
And a very skilled player and a very skilled storyteller, right? Yeah. They're going to be able to never stop role-playing when they're forced to role-play. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like their cool guy character is somehow still going to be a cool guy character on the other side of an entire night of bad rolls, because you know they're going to find a way through that. And then a silly character is still going to be a silly character even if they have a night of epic, incredible rolls that would make them look like the coolest, most badass person in the world. They'll still find a way to stay true to the character, and they will still be a silly goof at the end of all that, right? That is a good role player can roll with, right? The punches that come at you. And that's kind of what it is. Unexpected changes brought about by chance. Reacting to things that you and maybe even the DM have no control over.
One is your decisions affecting the world is the world's decisions affecting you.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, your decisions affecting the world, but then down here, the world affecting you.
How do you react to that?
Yeah. And how do you react to that?
Your character reacts to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the idea is like you have somebody who's like the biggest, strongest, most athletic person, and then they roll that one on their like athletics check, and then they gotta like, okay, how does your character react to not be like your character's used to not finding something, but for some reason this one does do it. How does that work? And then you and the DM got to work together to figure out like, okay, I mean, why didn't it work?
Right.
In this story. Yeah.
So I have heard different groups handle this sort of stuff in different ways. When I was learning about Pathfinder, one of the many people that I was listening to videos from, they would describe rolling social checks as roll the social check before your roleplay scene, and then everyone role plays according to the results. I thought that was kind of neat. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So rather than me being like, David, Will, some of our biggest like bullshitters, you know what I'm saying? Larry Onis, right? You know what I'm saying? Instead of me giving them a chance to give like an Academy Award-winning speech, right, with their 8 charisma character, and the audience, which is us at the table, and I guess the people watching the VODs in the stream, right? They're like, how could he have failed? It was the greatest speech ever given. You know what I'm saying? He hit on every single point. They covered everything that you could ever need to cover. No one wouldn't have been swayed by that speech. So this guy in the teaching everybody Pathfinder, he was like, for that reason, I like to roll ahead of time. I like to say, okay, listen, your character's skilled at diplomacy. Before you say anything, what are you trying to do? Like, what are you trying to get here? And then you say, well, I'm trying to convince them that they should give us our own boat. Like a real nice one. I want a real nice boat. I got a feat that lets me ask for a boat. So I want to ask for a whole fucking boat. Give it to me. And the DM says, okay, that's going to be a DC 35, bro. And you roll it, and you get a 35. And the DM's like, hell yeah. Tell me how the conversation went down. Because you got the boat, right? And then the player says, oh, okay, so I said this and that and the other thing, and then they gave me the boat. All right, other timeline, you roll nat 1. And you're like, whoa, hero point. You re-roll nat 1. And the DM's like, okay, so you're going to help me here. We're going to tell the story of how you double nat 1 this request for a boat. We're going to figure out the scene now. And it's a little meta, right? It doesn't feel as organic. Yeah. It doesn't feel as organic, right? As just like I impassionedly tell the king why we need a boat, bringing up 10 strong arguments in a row about why we need this boat. God damn it, we need this boat. And the DM's like, oh shit, that's so good. Oh my god, I just want to give him the boat. But that goes back, and again, we said this whole topic tonight was going to touch on lots of things. This goes back to the high charisma in real life does not equate to high charisma in the game. Just like being strong in real life doesn't mean you're strong in the game. Being smart in real life doesn't mean you're smart in the game. It's not equitable to allow, and people hate hearing this. It ain't equitable to allow a charismatic person in real life to just automatically be charismatic in D&D. It ain't fair. It ain't fair. I don't ask somebody to go outside and lift their car up in the driveway and take a video of them lifting the car up in the driveway, and then I'm like, I guess you're strong enough to throw that giant. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how the game is played. It is not fair. So, in a way, I do kind of see how that could work, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I think that that's pretty good. But that, to me, was, like, a great way of getting out in front of roleplay, right? Is let's see what the dice tell us happens, and then we can we can tell a story that makes sense with that, right? Because
I guess if you think about it, like in both cases, both extremes, you kind of lose. It is a bit meta, and it is you kind of do lose that immersion in both cases, because like you can have the person who makes the most really like charismatic speech, and then roll bad, and they don't get it, and you're like, well, doesn't make any sense. And then you can have the person, say, okay, before you say anything, roll your check. Okay, you rolled bad. Now let's role play out you failing. In both cases, there's a bit of there's a part where you're like a meta, knowing that, okay, at the end of the day, the dice was the one that decided the fact, and on both sides, just one you're doing it in front, one you're doing it at the end.
Yeah, no, and I get that, and I've had things where people gave that incredible speech, and like no one could deny that it was an incredible speech, and then here's the thing: if I required a roll as the DM, either A, I'm being a robot and following the written adventure to the letter, or B, I, as the DM, know a reason why they would not do it. And that's all, and that's it, right? If I asked you to make a check, it means that there's a chance you would fail. If there's a chance you would fail, I need to know what that chance is. If I'm saying that they need to roll a check, then I also need to know why they need to roll the check, right? Yeah. Exactly. Like, why wouldn't they give you a boat? Because they're expensive. That's why they wouldn't give you a boat. It would look really bad to the taxpayers that they gave these murder hobos a fucking boat. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some of it's really easy. Some of it's a little bit harder, right? They could give the best speech in the entire world, and you might be like, damn, I really can't think of any reason why they wouldn't give the boat. And then you could pull something like, your words have moved.
Here's a quest.
Yeah, you could do that. You could say, your words have moved me. I'll meet you halfway. Go slay the storm hydra down by the coast. It's been, assailing our ships. We wouldn't want your ship to be attacked on the way out of the harbor. Go take care of that, and then come back. Or you could just say, your words are strong. They have moved even me. But this is not just my decision to make. I can't make a decision on behalf of all of the people of this city. That at this magnitude, blah blah blah. Like, there is always a way, and that is where that's where the role play ROLL is applying to the DM. Also, this is the chance for the DM who knows everything to be put in a situation where they don't know everything. This is their chance to have to improv and think on their feet. Because DMs never think on their feet. You know what I'm saying? They never think on their feet. So
I had a moment like this in Cyberpunk not too long ago, where one of the players decided to set up a meeting and talk to a whole bunch of fixers inside Night City to try and set up some type of coalition, which has nothing to do with the written adventure. But okay, we're gonna see where it goes. And they went through and started saying some points, and there was a good dialogue between them and all the other fixers that they were having this meeting with. And in that case, I didn't have any role go through, because when they were speaking to each other, they kind of came to an understanding between just two people the group talking, where, some on their end, they relented on some things. And then the other side, they, found benefit in what was being said, to the point where like they don't see any, there's no downside to going this far. So it was like a good, pretty decent, pretty long role play, ROLE play session.
Yeah.
That didn't have any role at the end because there was no way this would fail at this level. If they had asked for more, then yes, I would have started asking for roles. But at that point where they went to, there was no reason for it.
And see,
I don't see.
Yeah, that's great, and it kind of builds off of what Butler Log was saying in chat. He says, I would like roll first, talk after, but would probably need getting used to it if we did it that way. But also, fuck fairness, give me strong RPers being charismatic. The campaign is better for it. And that is how I used to feel. That is how I used to feel when I played private games with friends and family, and it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't a business, but I want to say that I didn't know as much about accessibility and equity as I know now. Part of my day job is accessibility, web equity, things like that. Like making sure that people have an even footing with whatever they happen to be doing, right? And so I still, I would like very much for a shy person who is not feeling comfortable enough yet, or does not have the social skills or the social cues, but still wants to live a fantasy of being that kind of person, to still feel like they can, right? Even if they can't give like a cool speech or whatever. But I will also say that once you learn the dynamic of your group, like Dom's situation right here, if everyone at the table is hanging on the words and they're like, wow, yeah, that's good, and the storyteller's like, dang, dash good, at the end of the day, the group could just say, yeah, we don't need a roll anymore. Like, that's good. Like, we're good. This is good right here. No rolls required. With
on that subject about having like somebody come through and like, deliver something really well. Usually for me, what I end up doing is I don't give them any bonuses or anything like that, but I do lower the DC behind the screen.
Okay.
Sometimes,
okay.
If it's something really good, and the most important thing is that regardless of how they deliver it, it depends on what they delivered. Like if the points they bring up actually make sense for the character they're talking to, they're trying to convince them, I'm definitely going to lower the DC behind the screen, regardless of whether they did a really cool delivery. As long as the point that they're trying to make is the point that makes sense for the character, I definitely give them the bonus behind the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. And I usually end up lowering like a 2 or depending on the system, but like,
and that's the
just
thing.
Enough
like
to give them the bonus.
At the end of the day, as we say all the time, it's a combination of communication with the group. What does everybody enjoy, right? What does everybody feel comfortable with? Have you played, 150 sessions and everybody is pretty cool with, if you role play really good, if you're very charismatic when you deliver this stuff, we know that the DM's going to give you a bonus, and that's okay. I aspire to be more charismatic because these guys have inspired me to try and come out of my shell a bit more. Maybe that's the environment that you have built and that you're playing in, and that's fine, right? And the other half of it is this is all organic, right? We're not in a video game. There's no code that we have to follow. You feel it out and you do what feels good for your group. So there's that, right? I like ROLLplay prompts, right? Obviously, right? Because we've got succeed at a cost. Even in my Pathfinder games, I've snuck in some succeed at a cost every once in a while. That are you willing to push and risk it to get this thing done? The tables that we have developed over the years for our succeed at cost in 5e are phenomenal, right? Like falling through the floor of a building into the floor below, like a more old school Mortal Kombat game. You know what I'm saying? Like just having a tree in the forest, somebody crashes into it, the tree falls down on top of everybody. Like, these are things that if the DM was saying it happened, it would feel arbitrary and targeted. But by creating a system, an agreed upon system, by creating a table of events or a deck of many things that can happen, right? Suddenly we are all victims of circumstance and fortune, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I love that stuff. I don't mind a good storyteller being like, "Oh, well, you got a natural one when you were climbing down the slippery staircase. So, you know, there's a Dennis Nedry banana peel sound, and you fall on your butt, and you slide down the stairs, and it's pretty funny. And now you're prone at the feet of the monster." It's like, okay, sure. But like, I'd much prefer that if something like that happened, it wasn't because like the DM decided it happened. It was because he was like, "Oh man, the natural one. Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens together. Let's roll on this table and see what happens together." To me, that feels better, right, than just the DM constantly arbitrarily saying like, "Oh, a bad roll means this and a good roll means that," right? Like I prefer tables. Yeah.
Thinking about the in terms of Vampire Masquerade, where you're talking about those messy crits, like how Scotch would say, "Okay, like tell me how this."
Yes.
Like, you ask the player, like, "Okay, this you succeeded, but there was a complication. Tell me what the complication was."
Yeah, I need to start doing that more with SAC. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I'll definitely like take the reins on any SAC result that comes up, and even though we know mechanically what the result is, I'll still just be like, "Oh, I guess this tree fell down or whatever." But yeah, it'd be a better opportunity for group storytelling to be like, "Okay, well, we know that everyone's about to get knocked prone. Why don't you tell me how? Like, why does the battle shift 20 feet to the left? Why does this happen? Like help me tell the story about why this is happening." Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I think that's way better. Another thing about role play is you got to be in my opinion, right? You got to be rolling dice to have the ROLLplay take effect. I have not had this happen as much in any game as it happens in my Curse of Strahd games. My goal with Curse of Strahd was to make sandbox world, have everything built ahead of time, have all the tables like populated, and I didn't care what level you were. You might run into a level 15 monster. You might run into like a bunch of level 1 monsters. You might be level 9 and run into a bunch of level 1 monsters. You might be level 9 and run into level 15 monster, right? Everything is procedural. Everything is happening. You could go anywhere you want in the world, and we'll just figure it out. And when you get to a place and something happens, we'll figure it out. And if certain encounters roll on a certain day at a certain time with a certain party group and you got certain NPCs going with you, it's going to play out way differently than if that same encounter played for this other group that did these other things and is allied with these other factions. And that it has been incredible. It's been really incredible to watch the 3 different Curse of Strahd games play out so differently based on the order that they decided to do things, the people that they helped, the people that they didn't help, and so on and so forth. And that is a combination of the ROLE and the ROLL, right? Because their role play decisions impacted when events were rolled out on a table, how those events would actually play out, because they were influenced by the decisions that they made in the game. It's been very fascinating. So that's like the broad spectrum of it. I think that's like the broad spectrum, right? But then there's just, why does Maya wear a safety helmet, Dom? Right? Why does Maya wear? Why did we joke around about Maya doesn't have her safety helmet on today? Right?
Yep.
Why do we always joke around that Lex brings people back from the dead? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you actually don't. I don't think you know about this, but in Curse of Strahd Daybreak, dude cannot stop bringing people back to life. Like, whenever he gets a critical fumble or whatever, it's always a combatant gets back up or whatever that was downed. That was going on for months. For months, he would just bring people back from the dead. I had to stop deleting bad guys because we never knew who he was going to resurrect. Sometimes multiple times per fight.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, numbers, patterns, coincidence, luck, right? I know a lot of people don't believe in luck, right? And that's, I'm sad for them. They probably don't have a lot of magic in their life. But anyways, it means something. I have seen Some shit. You know what I'm saying? I've been playing this game for 30 years. I watched you roll 5 ones in a row the other night. 5 ones in a row the other night. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love Stonewolfen, right? I love him. He's my friend IRL. He's my friend online. We play all kinds of games together. But even he, right? He knows he got them bad rolls. He got them bad rolls.
I mean, Andronikos
too. Bad rolls, right? Andronikos, bad rolls. And this is another sensitive topic, right? Is there such a thing as luck, right? I believe there is. I think there is different kinds of luck. I think there's player luck. For example, Remy is a very lucky player. It helps that Remy is a skilled player, but Remy is also a lucky player. But every once in a while, Remy gets an unlucky character, right? He gets an unlucky character, and nothing can help that character. Nothing. It's like all the bad luck that he has avoided, like on everything else that he's done, it finally concentrates on one poor character that he's decided to make or play, and that character's just done. They're just cursed. It's fascinating to me. I think that there are lucky players and there are lucky characters. I think that there are unlucky players and there are unlucky characters, and I think you can have a combination therein, right? You could have an unlucky player that finally makes a lucky character. And you could have a lucky player that finally makes an unlucky character. For me, I don't know. I don't know where I fall. I roll really well for monsters. I roll really bad for heroes.
I mean, all the time. Yeah. I mean, that troll that one day in Red Hand.
Oh, yeah. Well, that to me, that's just an unlucky character. That river troll, oh my god. But that's the thing, right? Like, of all the fights we had in that campaign, there were some pretty badass fights in that campaign. I don't think those guys are ever going to forget the unlucky river troll. You know what I'm saying? Because they had heard about my first Red-Handed Doom game. They had seen some of the other games that I ran. They knew that I ran some tough-ass monsters. This is their first boss monster of the campaign. Their buttholes are puckered up. They're like nervous. They're like, what's going to happen? I don't roll behind the screen. Fucking River Troll, he whiff every attack. He fumble everything. He debuff himself. He fall down. Like, it's out of my hands. It's out of my fucking hands. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
poor guy.
Yeah, but like, I don't think anybody who was there that day will ever forget like that shameful fight for that poor troll. Like that guy is the worst. He's the worst, and like no one will ever let him live it down. That it was just terrible. I kind of love that.
Another thing too. One thing about like speaking just about unlucky and lucky, it does make those times when it does change really impactful.
Yeah.
Like Andronikos with the
Fire Island Andronikos. Fire Island Andronikos. Yeah,
Andronikos.
There was just something in the water. In the water. Dude stepped onto Fire Island and became a living god. It was incredible. As soon as he left Fire Island, he just went back to just rolling terrible. Yeah, it was so weird. Stone, we talked about how he has these terrible rolls, right? Well, not without any spoilers, he played all the way through Odyssey Prime, and his character was always struggling, right, with them rolls, like always kind of struggling with those rolls. And then right towards the end of the campaign, he just started rolling so good, and he built for like crit fishing, so like he could finally experience like some critical hits, and these are like high level like critical hits, and it felt really good for all of us at the table to see him getting those rolls finally, to see him like dealing that huge damage, to see him like just like proud and happy and just like just like crushing it, and it felt so well earned and so like incredible. Like, you play with a lucky player enough, you're not even impressed anymore. You know what I'm saying? They're like Conti is incredibly lucky, and he's playing a gunslinger. So like Sunset, pretty much like they rely on Henry to tank all the hits, while Jet Ree, which is Conti's character, just one-shots everything with gun criticals. Yeah.
There's a
I play it's a lucky character too, because I played the character this past Monday and I got 5 criticals out of 7 attacks or something crazy like that. Yeah.
we have an NPC in Cyberpunk. It's Will's follower, and that character has to get a critical hit in Cyberpunk, you have to roll 2 6s on your damage.
Right.
So whenever you hit it, it's not about getting getting a 10 on a 10 on a D10. It's about getting 2 6s on 4d6 or 3d6, something like that. And he has critted and critically injured so many people. He just sniped people from across the room with his pistol, blowing people's. He has shot off a good number of fingers, broken a couple of arms with a handgun.
Fantastic.
But yeah, and then what's his name? So in Cyberpunk, there's a tarot card deck based off of the one that's from the game, where if you roll a critical hit, instead of rolling 3 6s, you roll instead of rolling 2 6s, you roll 3 6s. You actually draw a card from the deck, and that deck has something crazy happen. And once you do it, you're not allowed to draw from that card. That card is out of the deck until you go through the whole entire deck. We're about, I think, 7 out of the 20 cards done, and about 6 of them are from one character. One Carlos's character, Doc. Every time he crits, it's 3 6s.
Incredible.
Yeah. But that's the thing, and that's when you're talking about having the random. That's one of those things where when the crit happens, let's see what happens. And there's a critical injury table.
Yeah.
There's a deck. And so those things add randomness to there that allows that everybody needs to react to. And sometimes when you roll pull out the deck, it's not necessarily something bad happens to the person who got shot. Sometimes it might be something bad happens to the person who did the shooting.
Oh wow! Like the kickback on the gun was too hard or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that if I'm missing something in Pathfinder that we still have in our 5e games, it is definitely the frequency of succeed at cost. But I do have that wild magic going on in my Alkenstar games. You know what I'm saying? Got that wild magic going.
If you want that, just actually use the critical hit actual cards for their thing.
I might
use the fumble cards on fumbles.
I might for future games that don't have the wild surges. You know what I'm saying? Because
Kingmaker.
The wild surges are crazy enough that Sunset learned their lesson. They don't fuck around with magic no more. They don't fuck. They don't fuck with magic. Yeah. Black Panther comes out and it's we don't do that here. You know what I'm saying? But over in High Noon, they're just blowing up wild magic surges left and right, man. That's their strat, I think. That's their strat. They're just maybe we'll blow up the sun. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, and that adds, and again, I don't have control over those tables. You know what I'm saying? I wrote the tables alongside Dr. Ramzor or whatever. We wrote the tables before the campaign started, but we're living and dying. The people are dying. We're living and dying by whatever's on that table. You know what I'm saying? And when you have a delicate narrative, right? It's it's hard. I think that's the sign of a mature and experienced storyteller, is that you let the dice tell the story, right? You let the dice tell the story. When I was a child, right? When I first started playing D&D, when I was 12 or 13 or whatever, I was well, I don't want my bad guy to get killed right away. You know what I'm saying? I don't want this to happen. I had this cool story planned. I had this cool adventure for you guys to go on. I would get frustrated, right? Because I would be stupid dice. You know what I'm saying? They got 6 critical hits. 6 critical hits on my cool boss. He's dead now. And I don't know. I guess the game's over. I guess we'll go do something else now, you know? As an adult, I see that happen, and I'm holy shit. You know what I'm saying? Holy shit. It's exciting, right? To see those things and to have control taken away, right? And that's and to a certain extent, you don't really ever have control in a tabletop RPG Yeah,
Dice.
right. Like the players are there telling stories, the dice are telling stories. If you as the DM think that this is your story, if you think that this is your narrative, if this was your idea, you're gonna have bad time. You know, you're gonna have a bad time.
I mean, yeah, you didn't want to be a DM, you wanted to be a
Yeah,
writer.
you want to be a writer. Yeah, you want to write a book.
Yeah.
So, oh man, over the years,
write your adventures and don't run it.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
write your adventures and have other people run it.
Yeah, and God forbid, don't watch the streams of them playing your adventures. Yeah, because you'll be real sad. All right, you've been playing D&D for a while now. What is what's when you think about holy shit dice? What is a holy shit dice story that comes to mind for you? What's like that first holy shit dice story that comes to mind? And Chad, if you've got your holy shit dice story.
My first one, I think, was in Paradiseville when I was playing that cleric, and I did the divine intervention, and it worked. And when we were trapped inside the thing with the macaroni
macaroni and cheese factories.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Man, we were going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, do we have that? I think we have that recorded. I think we have that. It was like we were doing some playtests, right, before we tried to do the full West Marshals thing. Yeah. That was crazy. That was crazy. Anytime. That's one of the fun things about 5e's stupidly unbalanced design. Anytime a divine intervention actually pays off in the moment, you know what I'm saying? It's always nice to see that. It's always nice to see that. Oh, in chat, Marcus Noble, famous story, all right? A young cat man crushing on a poisonous frog girl. Tries to get with that. I said, you got poison resistance. He's like, no. I'm like, all right, give me your Constitution save. Nat 1. I'm like, well, you're dead. And then that definitely changed the narrative, right? Because all of a sudden his character's fucking dead. They're running around trying to find the cleric. The cleric's drunk at the tavern or whatever. They're trying to get him brought back to life. It's a whole thing. She comes in, everyone's naked. He's dead on the floor with his dead boner sticking up in the air. Got to get that revivify going. Yeah, that's not scripted. You know what I'm saying? Who saw that coming? Dice are weird like that. Dice are weird like that. And you always remember when you quote unquote beat the odds or when the odds beat you. You know what I'm saying? Those moments. But here, I got something. We talk about how, some people believe in luck and some people don't, okay? And you, Dom, you don't get to watch Daybreak.
No.
It'll be a real treat if you ever have the time to watch it after Curse Strahd's over. But Lex's luck in that campaign is such that if there is a good critical hit for the monster to get, it will get that critical hit on Lex. Guaranteed. It's not even enjoyable anymore to get the critical hits on him. There was a monster and it had something that if it critically hits, it'll do 4 times damage or something crazy like that, right? And the monster goes to attack Lex and it activates this ability, so it's going to do 4 times damage if it hits. Not a single person at the table had any doubt in their heart or mind that it was not going to be a critical. We could have just skipped rolling the dice. I rolled the dice, it was a critical. Nobody even reacted because that's how often his character takes the worst crits. You just say, "Oh, this is a terrible critical hit. I hope nobody takes this critical hit." It's gonna critically hit Lex. It's gonna hit his character.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, if he's playing an Alcastar too, and the guns are there. Oh my goodness, what's gonna happen?
I don't. He plays right. He's ranged, so other people are getting critically hit. So
gunfight. shoot. It says, yeah, he's playing a sniper. He starts fighting another sniper. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no. Don't worry. Don't worry about them. They have a swashbuckler tanking all their fights for them.
Oh my god.
This poor Swash. Every fight is just Josh's character, like, getting bodied. Like, they go in and they kick all this ass, and then the monster's just like dunk, and then like you just see this dragon unconscious on the ground with little stars above its head. And all these other range characters just like pew 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 from a distance, throwing bottles and shit. This poor dragon just wades into every fight, dunked.
Isn't Mother Ketrin in there? Isn't she a tank?
So Ketrin's a tank, but these Pathfinder dwarves are slow, man. They slow as fuck. Sometimes,
why are they running in then?
And she's the field medic, so she's the one running up to the dragon every time it gets dunked into the ground. You know what I'm saying? And like, and Lex is just back there. I take a shot. I get into cover.
Okay, he's smart. Yeah, he doesn't want to get crit.
That's my turn. It's like, okay, cool.
He's making sure. Speaking about crits, when I did the one shot for Strength Thousands, the thresholds of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're students at a school, right? And they're going on this small little adventure. They had to do some stuff, and then they get to the place like they had to fight a creature that is what it does is it attacks and runs away. It attacked one, and the other person who was the tank was like a very lovable, like kind of like what's the character you think of? Somebody who runs up and gives you a hug and like was always happy. He's a cleric,
mm-hmm.
and he's the one who was supposed to. And the thing they were fighting was a shark, and the shark created massive damage to him and killed him one hit, full HP. So he went straight. Like we said, he the shark bit his head off.
Oh
and his
God.
head was floating around with the rest of the party while they did the rest of the thing. And this is like, and one of the things, this is one of those things where it's role play where like I need to know how is this school going to react to, because I'm like, this is like the final battle, and there's like a little blurb in the one shot for like read this after you finish the thing. It's like, thank you for doing this. You guys are the best. And like I'm like, man, what the heck is gonna happen?
Just copy fucking Hogwarts, bro. They're like, like 17 kids died this year. Let's have a party. All you can eat pudding. 1,000 points to Gryffindor. Yeah. Like, what else are you gonna do?
It was
not to be insensitive, but I went to Catholic school in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much how we ended every school year. We're like, well, we only had like 3 suicides this year, so thumbs up. Have a great summer. Yeah. It was hard. It was tough. It was tough. Catholic school ain't easy on you guys. Ain't easy.
Yeah.
Damn Catholics, they don't like each other very much. They don't like anything. It's tough. Anyways, moving back to this. Magic school, dying and, like, these low-level deaths, like, goddamn. Like, I try to tell people, don't buy character art till you're level 5. Like, I made that mistake with Chattermile. You know what I'm saying? I was like, give me that Chattermile art. I'm going to show off. Yeah, it's going to be good. Now, like, I'm going to die. I'm a cleric. I'm going to be in the back, baby. Like, and then I'm fucking died. And that was it. I'm like, man. All right.
I've learned something. Water kills players.
Oh, water does kill players.
Whenever there's water, all my time, every single time I've killed a character, it has to do with water.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Other crazy dice stories. Anybody in chat got crazy dice stories? I know
there was one from Lex about the Monster Hunter with the off the top ropes. On the Diablo.
Yes, that was incredible. That was a really good one. Oh, a good shout to a monster. I think I've talked about this one before, but I ran Saltmarsh twice, Sun and Moon. Both groups in the final battle against the final boss of the campaign. The opening attack of that boss against both parties. So 2 different timelines. Nat 20. And it was for an AoE melee strike because she was a kaiju. So it was an AoE melee strike, and it was the same strike against 2 different parties. Opening strike. both of them were critical hits. I thought it was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. But that doesn't really. We're just hyping rolling cool dice. But what are significant events in campaigns that have changed the entire campaign on a single dice roll? Single dice roll changed your entire campaign. You got anything?
I'm pretty sure there's something like that happened in Rhyme. I'm trying to remember what. Let me see. I mean, there was one where a single dice roll could have changed a big thing, but it didn't. It ended up not changing it because they succeeded in the end instead of failing. And this happened in Cyberpunk where we have it in the memories thing now where they were about to get inside of they were checking a car for a bomb. And they were looking through it, and there was like a little beeping light on the bottom, and they was like, okay, I'm gonna roll this check to see if we can figure out if this is a bomb. And they rolled one below, but it was a hidden roll, so like I was like, yeah, you're not sure. And then it turns out they didn't add a +1 they were supposed to add to their roll, and they didn't mention it. So like I was like, okay, I flipped, just to make sure, we don't have two characters die by getting inside of a car that's about to explode. Let's take a look at what they rolled, and I had to let them know, like, hey, did you add this there? They said no. So you would have got this number. Never mind. It's a bomb.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, good on you for doing your homework on that and not killing everybody. I was just like, man, we should probably have done our math better. Oh well. Man.
I'm not sure
trying to think of times where the dice themselves were like,
I usually
don't everything.
I usually don't let a single dice roll be that impactful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I try not to have too much stuff hinge like derail the entire adventure. I guess for you in Skull and Shackles, how many times has the Crazzle table just completely just changed up the?
Oh, okay. Lex is a good example. In Red Hand of Doom Remix, for the Battle of Brindle, I didn't want to play Warhammer. I didn't want to do Warhammer. So the Raw adventure, it's like the war happens in the background, and everything the players did leading up to the war, they just earned points, and you worry about the points later. It's just a boss rush. Just have them go from like one boss to the other. That's it. That's the Battle of Brindle, right? When I ran it the first time, I was like, that's not good enough. I'm gonna play Warhammer. And then I had like units, and they had to move the units around and everything, and it was kind of fun, but it was kind of like tedious. But it was like, whatever, right? It was like paper, rock, scissors. So like we put our guys here and there, and then they're gonna do this and the other thing. So I wanted to create a table. I love tables. That was like good shit that happened because of the things that they did got added to the table, and then bad shit that they didn't take care of got added to the table. And so then we rolled on the table, and it was totally up to RNGesus how many good things and bad things they got, because everything was just mixed on the same table. And they had their whole existence had become a rematch against this ancient red dragon, right? Like they fought this ancient red dragon for 6 real life hours to a standstill, and then the dragon flew off because it was an ancient red dragon and it doesn't want to die, right? But here in the final battle, they're like, all they've done since then is think like, how are we going to kill this ancient red dragon? But then they roll on the table, and one of the results on the table is that heaven opens up and releases one of the greatest dragon slayers of all time to return to the mortal plane to do battle against this dragon. And so then they just didn't even have to fight him. And it was like, there was like 100 things on that table that it could have been, and this was just one of the results on the table. It was like, yeah, guess you don't have to fight him after all. And I, as the DM, I had just got done before the session, like prepping that fight and like building an arena for that fight, having everything set up. I was like, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be some good shit. look at all these buffs this motherfucker got. He got all these buffs because the bad guys were like, this is our boy, this is our champion. They gotta give him all the buffs, every buff in 5e that you could have put on a creature. This guy had all them buffs. I was like, this fight's gonna be bananas, gonna be crazy. 6 hours last time, 16 hours this time. It's gonna be nuts. And then we roll on the table and it's like, yeah, nah, like famous dragon, yeah, Dragon Slayer just comes down and does it for you. And that's that. And that's that.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So yeah, other stuff.
I do know
TPKs that lead to players being captured by the enemy. I would definitely say that is ROLLplay, right?
Yeah.
Where shit just goes south, right? They refuse to run, or they can't run, or they bit off more than they can chew, or they're just rolling real bad and the bad guys are rolling real good. And you're not fudging any rolls, and the next thing you know, everybody's dead. You know what I'm saying? And like, do you end the campaign, or do you roll with it, right? And then figure out what to do next, and then keep telling the story well outside of how you planned it. If you're a DM who plans to kill your party just to kidnap them, I mean, everybody does it once or twice in their D&D career, I guess. But like,
if you're gonna do that,
don't do it a lot, though. All right, don't do it a lot.
I mean, if you're gonna do that, have two. One where they run and one where they fail.
Yeah. Don't like force the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't force the issue. Man. But yeah, like
in Paradiseville when we were doing the Knoll story and we got that TPK.
Oh yeah.
And then we had to go get rescued.
Well, Paradiseville, when Wes and I conceived it for the season 1 Paradiseville, it was 1000%. We're like, whatever the dice tell us, we must do it. It was like SpongeBob and Patrick with the conch shell. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever they say, we will do. That's why there was an entire town called Warrensville, because a random magic surge, while they were in this dungeon called the Warrens, this random magic surge said an entire town springs into being. No one lives there. And they exit the dungeon, and there's an entire town there. And they're just like, okay. And then we as the DMs were just like, I guess there's a town there now. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the dice said to do, we just did it. Like, it did not matter. Whatever the critical hit result said, it happened. Whatever the critical fumble was, we did it. Whatever the wild magic surge was, that's what happened. And it was some of the craziest storytelling. It was so interesting because like none of us ever knew what was going to happen. Like none of us had any clue. It was so much fun. Yeah. Oh man. I'm trying to think of other things that super influence stuff. Oh, okay. Here's a good one. This didn't happen, but Daybreak, they have that real bad stat that Carsifona rolled for them, and then he bailed on them and left them with this really terrible stat that they have to live with for the entire campaign. You know, he rolled 3 1. He rolled 4 1s on 46, drop 1. Yeah. So of course all these people put into fucking charisma. They all put into fucking charisma, and they role play appropriately. Let me tell you. And so this group finally meets their fated ally, and they're so rude and so obtuse and so like. Just like the fated ally was like, fuck these guys. You know what I mean? Like I'm not working with these guys. And I told them, I was like, you get one roll here. Like I will reveal it. It's going to be on the table to stop this person from leaving, because they will leave. Like you will not have your fated ally for this campaign, which would be very impactful because the fated ally is one of the 5 core elements of the campaign. And I was like, that's it. That's how it's gonna be. Yeah. Like there's a lot of things in that campaign though where it's a combination of like the dice and the role play, like I said earlier. Where like if you go somewhere and you haven't gone somewhere else first to find out information about that other place, and then you go to that place, you're probably gonna miss the things that you need from that place that would be like incredibly helpful to the entire game, and then you're just never gonna have it. You're just never going to have it because you didn't do it. There's, it's like a Mega Man game, right? You can go to any of the bosses that you want, but obviously if you go to some of the bosses in the right order, it's going to be better. It's like that with Curse of Strahd's sandbox game. Like if you go in the quote unquote best order, you're going to get like the best results, but how do you know what that is? And when you think about all of the random stuff, the random injuries, the random criticals, the random fumbles, the random encounters, you're not in a position to have absolute say over where you go and when you go there and what you do, right? Because maybe you missed the deadline for this because 3 people had broken bones, and you couldn't travel. Yeah, like that's again the dice telling the story, right? Like those bad rolls put you under when you needed to be someplace and you just never made it there in time. And for the rest of the campaign, everything's changed. Everything's changed. Like, you were supposed to meet your sweetheart on the bus, but you tripped on your shoelace and you missed the bus and you never met your sweetheart and now your kid's never born. Like, oh my God, right? Like, it's like that. Yep. It's like that. Yeah, so roleplay versus roleplay. Damn. Whew. All right.
Big picture, they're both work in tandem. And it's kind of like, instead of being two sides of like a chasm or two sides of the same coin, I think they're two halves of the same side of the same coin.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. All right. Well, I thought I'd have some more like incredible stories to tell about like how dice like changed everything, but I think that at the end of the day, it is like you just said, it is a combination of role playing and role play. Because the two play off of each other and the two work off each other. And yeah.
Good role play, ROLE play, happens because of interesting role play, which is ROL play, I think.
Yeah.
And then the same way, you get interesting roles happen because of the decisions the character has made.
Yeah, definitely. So. All right. Well, we are at an hour. I think we covered some pretty good stuff today. Thank you guys for hanging out in chat. We're actually going to be taking a hiatus from vodcasting. Next Friday, we don't have Dom. And the Friday after that, I am going on pirate vacation. I'm going to be in the Sea of Thieves as much as possible. I'm only leaving to run games and to sleep. If you are interested in also being a pirate that weekend, let me know, because we got plenty of room on our ships for more pirates. Any other announcements, Dom, before we adjourn?
Yeah, nothing else.
All right. So your game's still open, Strength of Thousands, if you want to apply?
Yep, if you want to apply.
Cool. All right. Well, I got some games to run this weekend, games to run next week. We're always running games on the server. Hit us up if you want to join the server. It's a secret server, so you have to hit us up directly on Discord for invite. And come join the fun. A lot of fun stuff happening. They were playing like Aliens last night, Tabletop Aliens.
They're doing
Space Marines and shit. Yeah.
So you gotta see those character.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So, anyways, hope everybody has a great Friday, a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you next time.
All right, take care.